Okay, so I have another awesome case. This case is Wieman versus Updegraff, I think is how you say it probably. But this case was decided in 1952 by the Supreme Court of the United States, who actually overturned a ruling by the Supreme Court of Oklahoma. So that's why I went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. Um, Basically, what happened is that employees of the state of Oklahoma were required to take an oath, and the oath, in one part of the oath, which it lists here on page 913, basically they had to swear that they weren't communists and had never been communists, and that if they needed to, then they would take up arms in the defense of the United States and fight in a war, which would, in all reality at that point in time was a very large issue. And it talks about that one of the biggest things that they're worrying about in the state of Oklahoma is they want to make sure that all the employees of the state that are receiving state tax dollars to pay for their salaries are going to remain loyal to the state and not be communists, essentially. And yeah. So, anyways, at Oklahoma State University, or at Oklahoma Agricultural and Mechanical College, excuse me, then some of the employees had been required to take an oath, and some of them hadn't done it within the 30 days, I believe it is. Within the 30 days to take this oath of office, and so the appellates came against them and filed an injunction so that they didn't have to pay the salaries because they hadn't taken the oath and they could be there. Some of the issues in this case are that basically the act that, or the ability that these people the oath that they had to take made it that they could be ineligible for certain employment simply based upon organizational membership. The membership in the different organizations they participated in. One of the main issues with this is that sometimes, and it says on the right-hand column in page 913, it says, in recent years, many completely loyal persons have severed organizational ties after learning for the first time of the character or groups to which they had belonged. And it goes on to say that essentially because of all the political unrest and things like that in this time, that they were finding that some of the organizations that people were a part of would all of a sudden end up being different than what they had appeared to be. And basically under this Oklahoma Act, which required them to take the oath, the fact of association alone determined disloyalty and disqualification for certain jobs. It mattered not whether the association existed innocently or knowingly, they were just disqualified from having those jobs. So that was the biggest issue right there. Anyways, but by the time this made it to the United States Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court basically said that oath was unconstitutional because in American history and throughout time, then the youth of America especially, as well as many other Americans, will join something just to join it and be a part of something. And then later they find out that was in this case, communistic organization, and they, maybe it wasn't billed to them as such, and so that really wasn't fair to them to bar them from employment under organizational association or organizational membership alone. And so when it got to the Supreme Court, they overruled that. They reversed the ruling, which basically made it that the upholding of oaths, of the different oaths, especially in Oklahoma, that said that they weren't communists or that they hadn't done any acts of treason or anything like that within the last 5 years, was unconstitutional, and they wouldn't have to take that oath. So that case was reversed. Yeah, that's what it was.